Welcome to Fortress of Faith with Tom Wallace, calling North America to repentance and revival.
Welcome back once again to the Corner of Truth and Courage. You're listening to Fortress of Faith. This is Tom Wallace. Folks, before I jump into today's broadcast, let me quickly remind you that we are in a fundraising appeal. We're trying to take this opportunity of joining a new radio network, an opportunity that's been given to us. However, we've got to raise $24,000. And we are about $6,000 away from we've broken this up into 2 bites. It's like, how do you eat an elephant? $24,000. That's a big elephant. How do we eat this thing? I've got $12,000 goal on one side, and that's raising that cash. And the other $12,000, we're trying to raise commitments of monthly support to help us reach that goal. And so of the cash amount, we're about $6,000, $5,000, close to that, away from reaching our target. Maybe someone's out there that God has blessed you with means, and you can write us that $5,000 check. What a blessing that would be. Maybe you can only give $100, $50, whatever it is. Would you give us a call? At the end of the broadcast, I'll give you our phone number, but let me give it now just in case I forget. You can always get it on our website, by the way, at fortressoffaith.com, fortressoffaith.com. Number is 800-616-0082. The other side of that $12,000 goal, the other $12,000 I'm trying to raise in monthly commitments there. And if you can give $83.66 a month just for 12 months, that will be $1,000. And maybe you can't do that, but you can do $43 and change there, and that would be $500 at the end of the year. We're looking for about another dozen people that can at least do the $43.33, I think it is, or 66 cents. I don't have the figures right in front of me. For some reason, I laid it on the other table. But we'll give that amount to you there when you can call. And maybe you can pick up one of those challenges there. And we're just looking for people to do that for 12 months. That will raise the other $12,000. Say, hey, I can't give that amount, but I can give this. And so give us a call at the end of the broadcast. All right. Today, I want to weigh in a little bit more, my thoughts on the election results. Now, before the election, this time around, I chose not to share a lot of my views on the radio because I don't want to use this radio as a microphone for political elections. I want to encourage you to vote for righteousness and to vote for candidates that are going to stand for the ways of God. And however, what I want to do, now that the election is behind us, there's some great teaching moments here for us as Christians. And my aim is to use this time to look at what we saw in the election. We'll look at each party. Today, we're going to look at the Democrats. Tomorrow, we'll try to weigh in on some lessons that we can glean from the Republicans there and try to guide ourselves so that we are mindful of certain things. And I hope to strengthen the saints. What do we do here on this program? Fortress of Faith, to stand at the corner of truth and courage, to stand for righteousness and to have the courage to do what's right. We want to give you a biblical view on the pressing cultural issues, to find guidance in biblical principles to navigate through immorality that's going on in our communities, to have courage to stand. And sometimes we don't have the courage to stand because we don't have the information. Sometimes we're not informed. And knowledge is power that gives us courage to stand against the attacks against our faith and Christianity. Charles Spurgeon, the great famous preacher from London in the 1800s, said that religion ought to be brought into politics and set there in the faces of all men on a candlestick. Words that, if spoken today, would no doubt get him branded as an extremist in secular media and progressive evangelical establishments there to have a Christian point of view about the politics that are going on. We shouldn't be afraid to lean in on it. And I'm happy to say that, like half of America, and like Trump was campaigning, Kamala, you're fired. I'm happy to say that she was defeated in this last election. We've had enough of the nonsense. We're no longer going to try to pretend that Bidenomics was great for our nation. We've had enough of all that nonsense. We're no longer going to try to live with illusions and delusions. We're tired of living in a terrible economy. We're glad to throw it aside and to pick new and better leadership. Many of us have that great feeling, don't we? That feeling of being unburdened by what has been. Unburdened for 4 years of lies and misery. Unburdened by hyperbole and about Trump and the actions of the right as being evil and wicked. Unburdened of high prices and low wages. Unburdened of high gas prices. Unburdened of increased crime and defunding of the police. Unburdened of criminals crossing at the border and being funded by the taxpayer. Unburdened of having diversity, equity, and inclusion shoved down our throats. Yes, we're getting that feeling of being unburdened by what has been. The election was a blowout. Trump ran a textbook campaign. They learned some needed lessons in the past campaigns. Laura Trump, his daughter-in-law, did an excellent job. And they tried to shut down every I'm so glad. I was losing faith in the American electoral system. The 2020 election just left us with a very bad feeling and a bad taste about American politics. Can elections be trusted? I'm thankful for the groundwork that the Trump campaign did to make sure that we had a safe, fair, secure, legal election. But boy, wasn't it a blowout? It was interesting watching, and when I watch the news, I don't want to watch always people that I agree with. I watch news of people that I usually don't agree with. I want to hear their point of view. So I watch MSNBC and ABC News and CNN and these things. And as it's unfolding and watching how they are coming to the conclusion that there's not a pathway for Kamala and the look of horror on their faces, it was interesting to watch, to see them discover that on every metric, Kamala was underperforming, and on every metric, Trump was overperforming, and that it was clear that Kamala and Tim were going to lose this election, and how slow they were to actually call the race. Many of us rejoiced, and I'm one of them, that Kamala was fired. And I pray that my friends in Canada will soon be able to say that to Trudeau. They've been going through the misery of that same kind of woke DEI ideology that is destroying our nations from within. This ideology is a poison, a death sentence of what I talked about yesterday, of a reprobate mind. This is a direct result of rebellion against God, against his ways, against the government that God has outlined in the Bible for us to follow, that we used to, and we need to return back to it. So here's some takeaways about the campaign of the Democrats. Number one, it was the economy. It's like the old adage, it's the economy, stupid. They missed it. Instead of spending their time demonizing Trump, they should have Kamala should have broken with Bidenomics and admitted, hey, we messed up, but we can do better. We can fix this, and here's how we're going to fix it. She gave us first of all, no admission that they messed up, and then nothing to say how they're going to fix it, except for using Marxist and socialist ideas of price, of stopping and demanding what the prices are for so-called price gouging. The second huge mistake, and they missed it. They missed the dealing with the issues of the economy. He said they wanted to make it abortion and Trump and how bad he is. They didn't address the border. Oh, they said now we got to close the border. When for 3-4 years, we realized we can't trust them because they kept telling us that it was closed when obviously it wasn't. They did not own up to their mistake and the pain that they're caused America by their policies. Now, of course, it's hard to admit that stuff because then why would we trust them to fix it if they admit that they're responsible for causing the problem? So they were stuck. I get that. The third problem is that they had no policies. Near the end of her campaign, she tried to be a little bit more detailed, trying to bring some kind of detail to her policies. But her policies were flat and her rhetoric was full of word salads. If I heard one more time, I grew up in a middle-class home. It was so frustrating to listen to that. Now, there's a danger that there's a great thing for us to pay attention here. Kamala was not chosen by her merit, and that was the big issue from the very beginning. Biden told us when he was elected, he was going to pick the vice president, and the two big things he was looking for was the gender and race. It was going to be a black woman. Those were the two primary reasons why she was chosen, not for her merit. Merit was the last of his concerns. And why did he do it? Because he wanted to be the DEI president. And he picked a vice president because of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So she was chosen purely for her gender, purely for her race, which is the racism is firmly on the feet of the Democrats. And her record as a senator, you say, what record, what kind of accomplishments did she have? What kind of merit? She was the most radical senator in all of history, even far more than Sanders, who's a confessed socialist and admires the government of communism, of Lenin and Marxism and so on there. And she was picked not for her merit, but for her role to be a puppet. She was a stay on the script, and the party will tell you what to say. Now, this is the dangerous level. When we get to a point when the candidate is controlled purely by the party, that's exactly what communists do. And that's what the Democrat Party has slipped into. I don't have time to get into number 4. Their credibility was trashed. They told far too many lies. They couldn't be trusted. All right. Tomorrow we'll come back and we'll pick on the Republicans. Okay. Before we go, let's give you that number. Please help us to raise our goal. So that number to give is 1-800-616-0082. Again, 800-616-0082. Again, you can always give safely, securely online at fortressoffaith.com. Thank you so much, and join us again tomorrow at the corner of truth and courage.